Jurors have been seated. We're now finishing out alternates. Busy day in court. We're going to go through it courtesy of Matthew Russell Lee at Inner City Press. All of his links are in our description. He's there reporting, tweeting like a madman. We're grateful for it. Wouldn't be able to go through it without him. So please be sure you are supporting him. But there was a lot of contention about posts, social media posts from these various jurors that really led to many of them being busted. And so we're going to get into it and see who is left and who made it onto the panel. Now, here is Inner City Press reporting on X at Inner City Press. And you can see he's got books, he's got a Substack and a bunch of other stuff. We're here on day 3. And as a recap, we got 7 of the 12 already selected. Courtroom is busy. There's tension in the air. Donald Trump comes into the courtroom. Boom! Blue suit, blue tie. Defense lawyer Susan Nicholas running right behind him, plugging along in her laptop. Now, Trump, as before, seated in between Todd Blanche and Emil Bove. Everybody's busy. Suddenly, the clerk comes in. All rise. Oh, gosh, here he is again. Judge Juan Mercan comes out. All rise. Okay, please be seated. Clerk says, this is the time set for people of the state of New York versus Donald Trump, case number, blah, blah, blah. Judge says, hey, hold up a minute. Hey, do we have a court reporter in here? No, we don't have a court reporter. That's not good. Where's our court reporter? Okay, we're gonna have to do that again. So in the meantime, counsel, please approach. Attorneys walk up to the bench. They have a short conversation. Someone scrambles. Court clerk. She's like, oh crap, it's 9:15? What? Oh no. Clerk comes in. Says, again, take 2. All right, we're back on the record. This is the people of the state of New York against Donald Trump. Judge Mercan says, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We received a call yesterday, this is the judge speaking, from juror number 2. If I recall correctly, she was the one who said, no one's above the law. So she calls in. She said she had concerns about her ability to be fair. Yeah. I directed her to be here at 9:15, and so please bring her in. And that's juror 280, right? Looking at his list. Clerk says, yeah. All right, bring her in. She comes in. He says, good morning, juror. How are you? Fine. So we had a call yesterday, and I want to ask about what you thought. We had a conversation. You were going to think about this. What do you think today? Tell me about what's on your mind. What's going on? She comes out. She says, well, I have my concerns. This juror says yesterday alone, I had friends and colleagues who questioned my identity as a juror. They said, is that you? Like, we remember when you were driving around honking your horn or whatever. I think that was her. Driving around honking her horn. Yay. You know, Biden celebration party. I don't think I can avoid outside pressures, right? Everyone knew who I was. She said, okay, well, you're excused then. And while you're here, before you're excused, they leave. Now, I want to address the press, says the judge. Now, there's a reason theirs is an anonymous jury, he says, scolding all the media. The press is free to write about anything said here on the record, but please avoid physical descriptions here. And why did someone mention an Irish accent, for example? He says, Inner City Press didn't do it. Shout out to Matthew Russell Lee. Prosecutor says, Your Honor, maybe we should not ask the question about current and prior employers. Maybe if we don't ask them about that, then people won't know who they are. And the judge says, yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that. I think it's a great suggestion. Great idea. And this is so ridiculous. Okay, these are like 2 children. It couldn't be more obvious. I think we should get rid of the questions about current and prior employers. Why? So we don't know whether they work for Joe Biden or for a company called Authentic Campaigns? Yeah. How about no? How about we want to know if they work for the federal government or work for the New York government? Judge says, yeah, great. I'm fine with that. Remember, they ask about people who support Trump organizations, right organizations. I'm perfectly okay with that. Trump's lawyer Susan says, what? No. Sorry, Judge. That's why we asked for a written questionnaire. Okay. We already got that. He says, well, that's already happened. We already have the written questionnaire. And Todd stands up. He says, Your Honor, we need to have the information about the employers. Okay. Maybe direct the press not to report it. Okay. But we need to know who they are. Now, many people, not Inner City Press, reported the juror who works at a particular private school. Like, okay, come on. That's a little too much. Like, he works at this school. Come on. Inner City Press didn't do that. That's why we're supporting Matt. Good to see you, Matthew. So Justice Mercan says, all right, look, we need the information on employers. Yeah, but we'll redact it. All right. And I direct the press not to report on those answers. There's case law on this, is there? And he filed a brief. So prosecutor continues from Bragg's office. He says, Your Honor, Donald Trump violated your order 7 more times last night. He posted about Michael Cohen. He called him a serial perjurer, because he is. And a federal judge called him that too. Trump also posted it on his campaign website. And last night on True Social, he posted another article against Michael Cohen. Says most troublingly, the prosecutor probably stumbled it out like I did, says the defendant reposted about the liberals lying to try to get on the jury, which it sounds like they have. They said I could be fair and impartial. And then we ask, is this your husband with a severed Trump head? And they're like, oh yeah, but that's comedy though. I'm not partial. We are considering options, says the prosecutor, and we're going to decide what relief to ask for, because he reposted Jesse Waters' clip. Todd Blanche says, Your Honor, President Trump's responses are political in nature. Okay. He's responding politically. And Emil, another Trump lawyer, says we intend to brief whether reposting material that is already already public can violate the gag order, okay? It's already public, so he's just reposting stuff. He's not actually saying it, he's just retruthing it, so cram it. Judge says, well, I look forward to reading your little brief there, Emil Bove. We'll have the hearing, and after the hearing, I'll rule. It's like, oh, great. Remember, they already scheduled the contempt hearing for the 23rd, which we'll be covering. Emil Bove says, okay, can we have some additional time to brief that for you? He says, no, get it to me on the 23rd. All right, yeah, we thought I'd ask, figured it. Judge says, all right, we haven't even started the day yet. Says, I'd like to also address juror number 4. Okay, so 2's gone. The no one's above the law gal. How about juror number 4? Now, even though they're not here, I was notified by the prosecutor that the DA's office, as part of their research, has come across info that possibly called into question the truth and the veracity of juror 4's answers. They said, we discovered an article that a person with the same name was arrested in 1990s in Westchester for tearing down political advertisements. It seems the juror was also previously accused in a corruption inquiry, and they got a deferred prosecution deal. Now, we discovered an article that a person from the same name... Now, here, judge says, okay, well, did the propaganda that was ripped down on one's favor one side or the other? I believe it was to the right. So the propaganda was to the right. So we agree we need to inquire, said Todd Blanche. This person says, I can be fair, I can be impartial. Turns out he's got a corruption inquiry. Ripped down, so he's ripping down stuff. Did it favor one side or the other? It favored the right. So he's ripping down stuff from the right. Say, we agree we need to inquire. Justice Mercan says, well, the juror was reluctant to come in. So he says, okay, call him in. I said, okay, bring him in. So, well, he was reluctant to come in. So we could just excuse them. They bring him in. Prospective juror enters. I'm sorry. So I think maybe they excused that guy. So that must be the excusal of that one. So they probably excused him and he's gone. So 2 and 4 are gone. Again, right, it shows you kind of how problematic the jury process can be. This guy was almost on the panel and he was literally ripping down right side propaganda, charged with crimes for that. So he says, okay, so we're gone. We're down now 2. Like we started the day with 7. We're down now to 5. Bring them in. Bring in the other juries. I bring them in. Judge Mercan says, all right, look, some of you, the whole new panel, are about to be selected to be jurors in this case. Now, this is Bragg versus Trump, Democrats versus Trump. Says, my role here is to assure a fair trial. Cue the laugh track. I decide questions of law, and I tell you what the law is. You're the judges of the facts, and we're not going to be here on the 29th because of Passover. Now, the attorneys have given me names of people who are going to be here. You know who they are. Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen and all of them. Now, if you now feel you cannot be fair, raise your hand, and then I will ask if you're unable to serve for any other reason. If you can't be fair, no one here, it's Trump seated right there, let us know. 646, etc. Now, the press question, has Justice Mercan, this is from, I think, Inner City Press. This is my question. Has Justice Mercan said anything you've seen about jurors banned reporting hand raising? Don't know the answer to that. Maybe he's asking other members of the press to see if they've reported something like that. Interesting. So Mercan continues. Now, those of you in the jury box, please follow the sergeant. While we arrange the seating, counsel, can you please come up here one more time? Attorneys walk up to the bench, have a conversation with Trump, and they're back. Now, I will then ask you to answer every question orally. Seat 1, we go through the numbers. Seat 6, B500. Moves people over, we play the musical chairs game again. Bunch of people go from the big groups, right? So they ask 2 questions. Do you hate Trump? Yes, you're gone. Any other reason you can't be here? Yes, you're gone. Okay, we've got a group that's left. Let's move some of those people into the actual seats, and then we'll start questioning them individually. Seat 1, you're up first. Remember, we've got a list of a bunch of questions. They're going to run through them on their own. Sir, tell me about you. Well, I worked at the federal courthouse next door. I worked as a clerk over there, and I discussed with my coworkers and my boss with Mark Pomerantz's book, who was a former prosecutor. I'm not married. I work at a big law firm. Do I have to say which one? No. I read as much as I can. New York Times, CNN, Wall Street Journal, podcast, economics. No friend who's a victim of a crime, and I've also worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office. Great. Which one? Didn't report it. Inner City Press not going to report it. Now, I've discussed some of the legal merits of this case with many coworkers. Oh, you have? So you're a former prosecutor. You've already came to a conclusion basically on the legal merits of this case with many coworkers. Would that impact you, Mr. Former Prosecutor? He sighs. No, I can put it aside. I'd have to work a full day when I'd get out of here. I have attended rallies, you know, like the Women's March. Now, I do have to read the news for my job, though. Could you turn away to anything about this case? Yeah, I could turn the news away about this case, but I was reading about this case on Monday. He says, thank you. C2, let's go to you. She says, well, one of my children works in D.C. in the office of a representative, right? I wonder who that is. I have 3 children. I've been a mom for 23 years. Shout out to our moms. I love technology. I don't follow the news, podcasts, All About Tech, Scott Galloway podcast, Julia Lewis. I had a speeding ticket, but I didn't really enjoy that. No one does. Do you hate Trump? No. Any reason you can't be impartial? No. Okay, thank you. Next seat. A man says, I live in Hell's Kitchen. I work in investment banking. I've got an MBA in finance. I'm married. I live with my wife, which is, I think, normal. Enjoying New York City here. I work in capital markets. I'm on Twitter. Oh, and I follow True Social posts of Trump on Twitter. Hey, I did lose an uncle to crime. I might take Tums for acid reflux here, though. A little bit nervous on the day. I'm agnostic. I was Catholic. I do follow Trump on X, and I do repost stuff from True Social. But I will give my assurance that if Mr. Trump does not give evidence, I will not hold it against him. Judge says, thanks. Great. You got a Truth Social here guy again. Great. See if he gets on. Now, seat 4 says, my husband is a former assistant U.S. attorney, former prosecutor. That's great. Which district? Who knows? Now, I have 2 kids. I like to play tennis. I read the first 10 pages of Disloyal for business reasons in publishing back in the day. Question 42. No, I don't hate Trump. That's Michael Cohen's book, Disloyal. He's written many of them because this is his whole life now. Seat 5 says, I'm a New York Times subscriber, but mostly for the crossword puzzle. They got pretty good games over there. I was mugged, but it was a long time ago. I've got a cousin in the DOJ. There are some lawyers in the family. I've got a cousin who went to prison for drug smuggling, and I read The Art of the Deal years ago. Nice. Says this guy, seat 6, West Village, started a hedge fund last week. I'm in startup mode. Single, live alone, no children. I like restaurants and bars. I attend galas and charity events that I'm personally organizing. New York Times, Wall Street Journal, X, no podcast, and I was a victim of an attempted burglary in New York. The perpetrator was never brought in. I read The Art of the Deal. Any reason you can't be here? No, thanks. Seat 7. We got a couple good ones right there, right? You reading The Art of the Deal? Okay, pretty good. Now, I live in the West Village. I'm from California. Do I have to name my employer? No. I'm married. I got 3 kids. My wife teaches. Couple brothers-in-law who are lawyers, and no reason I can't not be here. Thanks. Seat 8's a man, originally from Lebanon, worked at a major firm as a wealth manager. I still work for 3 former clients, and I consult now. I also got an MBA. Seat 8 meditates every morning. It's good practice. Should do more of that. I watch CNBC, BBC. Number 42? No. Seat 9's another man. Good morning. I live in Hell's Kitchen. I'm in law enforcement for 34 years. My employer is, I have season tickets to the New York Rangers. I like to go to Yankee games, Knights of Columbus. I served on a jury late 70s, 60 Center Street. It was an injury trial. I read the Daily News and the Post, and I do not have a smartphone. I just use a flip phone. And so since I use a flip phone, I don't listen to any podcasts. I listen to sports talk radio, and I can be fair. Thank you, sir. The juror we were waiting for has arrived earlier. Lawyers, please approach. And he's sharing the jury questionnaire. Now, how should we handle this juror, they say? All right, this juror just showed up. Okay, may we approach juror 4 is the one we saw earlier. I'm directing the juror 4 not come back on Monday, so he's officially gone. So earlier in the transcript, they paused, and we came back to that, and he's gone. Trump's lawyer, Blanche, says, Your Honor, it's cold in here. Todd's a little chilly. Can the heat be turned up? He says, well, if I tried that, it would probably go up 30 degrees. I'd rather be too cold than sweating. All right, so they're trying to freeze him out now. Justice Mercan says, we'll continue with seat 10. She says, I live in Gramercy Park 4 or 5 years. I'm from Miami, Florida. I also lived in, and I worked for a large media company, like large. Before that, I was at a big law firm. Says, I am on the board of a national bar association. Wow. And it's an ethnicity bar association, so national whatever. In the same, I have family, unfortunately, that have been victims of the crime. I've never been the victim of a crime. I've got allergies, but my medication is non-drowsy. Says, yeah, I mean, about Trump, 34, yeah, I've got opinions on him, but I can set them aside. I've not read the publications in number 35, and I've not read any of Trump's books. In law school, I was asking about political contributions, but I can be fair. And yeah, I can be impartial. All right, next, seat 11's another woman. Says, I live in Inwood, and I'm from Long Island. I'm a paralegal at a major international law firm. I have a BFA. I'm married with 2 adult kids. I've done work for the ASPCA, been on 3 juries, 1 criminal, 1 insurance fraud, and an alternate in a medical malpractice case. It's settled. I read the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, sometimes the Post, NPR, BBC. NPR's going through it. No podcasts. Nope. And I have been mugged a long time ago. Says my son works as a ratings analyst. Honestly, don't know what he does. And any reason you can't be fair? No. Seat 12, another woman. I'm a speech therapist, not married. I do not have any children. I live alone. I was called to jury duty before in New Jersey. I do listen to podcasts about reality TV. Question 42, can you be impartial? Anything that prevent you from being fair? No. Seat 13's a man. I live in the Upper East Side. I'm self-employed. I've got 1 stepson. I like to play tennis, family, food. I work out a lot. World Monuments fun. I read the Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, no podcast. But I did grow up in Nevada. My father was close friends with well-known politician, and we don't know who that was. No for 32, but I did read The Art of the Deal, and I can be impartial. Thank you. 14's a man. living in Murray Hill, born, raised in Ohio. I work in e-commerce at a large somewhere company. I'm not married. I love the outdoors and animals. He laughs. Any reason you can't be fair? No. Says 15. Well, I'm a finance professional. I'm married. I'm a parent. Wall Street Journal, Fox Business, no podcasts, no talk radio. No reason I can't be fair. 16's a woman. Says my apartment was robbed one time. That has nothing to do with this, I guess. I have a close friend that was also convicted, and I can be fair. 17's a female. I live on the Upper East Side. I'm a physical therapist. I'm married, no kids. I enjoy paddleboarding with my dog, my husband, and our dog. I listen to podcasts about sports. 2 brothers-in-law, 3 sisters-in-law who are attorneys. No reason I can't be fair. 18 is from Italy. Says the media pushed an association between Trump and Silvio Berlusconi. Remember that? I do. He says, fine, you're out of here. You're excused. Get out of here. Get out. Oh, you found that offensive? I think they're best friends, so you're out of here, Judge says. Seat 18 is a woman. Says, I work as an asset manager. I live with my boyfriend. He's self-employed. I like to run and eat food. Now, the attorneys, okay, we've got through the whole panel there. So now the attorneys are going to ask some questions. But first, it's lunchtime. All right, we're back in court, Judge Mercan says. All right, welcome back, jurors. Now it's time for the lawyers to question you, and each side, each attorney is going to get 30 minutes. Mr. Government, you're first. Prosecutor Joshua Steinglass, Bragg's not going to do anything in this case. Says, hello, everybody. Here, I'm prosecutor. We represent the people of the state of New York. The defendant is Donald Trump. Now, does anyone here feel that Trump is who he is? That we're going to have to prove more than we would have to prove for others? Because it's Trump that we have to do more than we'd have to do from anyone else? Anyone? How do you feel, juror? Well, I could be objective. And you? I think the standard's beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, does anyone here feel that Trump... Next question. Former law clerk, how about you? I thought about it over lunch, that I discussed the case with my coworkers, and I'm afraid that's going to seep in here. So this guy says, I probably got to go. Now, thank you for being honest. The charged crimes, they run from 2015 to 2016. Now, you're not going to learn why it's on trial now. This is so long ago. We all know why it's happening now. The election. Oh, but the prosecutor says some of these witnesses have issues. A porn star, Michael Cohen, he's trying to what we call draw the sting, right? Get stung where you want to get stung. Get stung now. Don't surprise people. Like, start persuading the jurors now. Hey, look, this is what you're going to get. Porn star, tabloid publisher, blah, blah, blah. So they feel it. Several of the witnesses have also been given immunity. Trump says, objection, Your Honor. What is he doing right now? Overruled, says the judge. Keep persuading them. Prosecutor says, how about you, juror? You said that you've met Susan Nicholas, one of Trump's defense attorneys. Would that impact you? No, it wouldn't. Does anybody have a problem, says the prosecutor to the full panel, relying on context clues? Anyone know? Who here has kids? Hands go up. And so your kids, let's say one of them has a chocolate mustache. Did they drink the chocolate milk, or was it smeared on their lips? Some juror whose accent is recognizable but won't be repeated here said, well, it's possible either way. Smearing is possible. Prosecutor says, Mr. B500, can you follow the facts where they go? Yes. And how about you? Yes. And how about you, 714? Any doubts? No doubt. Now, some people have a problem returning a verdict of guilty. Is that you? Look at the defendant right now. Could you return a verdict of guilty, B440? Could you? How about you, B500? And you, B744? And what about you, B423? You can do it? Thank you. Trump's lawyer's up. Susan Nicholas stands up. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for your time here being here today. Sorry I had to listen to that weird prosecutor. He said that you can understand witnesses contradicting themselves. He said that. But some witnesses lie. Anyone have a problem understanding that if stories change so much over time that they might be lying? Anyone have a problem with that concept? Now, some of these witnesses have expressed great dislike for President Trump. Can you evaluate them on that? Trump's attorney says, number 11, for example, you said that you did have strong opinions about President Trump. Is that true? She says, yeah, well, we have different views. And have you posted about your opinions on those views on social media? Well, she says, yeah. If you had a policy I disagreed with, I might post about it. Okay. And how about you, juror number 2, 502? You said that someone you know works for someone in Congress. Who do they work for in Congress? Oh, Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat Speaker of the House. Very fitting. Thank you. And B675, hi there. Do you have strong opinions about President Trump? Juror says, yeah, I agreed with most of his policies. Whoa, I agreed with them. And has your husband posted about President Trump? Says, no, he's not on social media. Or sorry, I think he is on Twitter, but I don't think so. How about you, next juror? Do you have strong opinions about Trump? Says, I saw Marla Maples and him shopping for baby clothes. And how about you, 784? Do you have strong opinions about President Trump? No, fairly neutral. Susan Nicholas, 470, the defense lawyer, says, hey, 470, you look like you're cold. She says, I'm friggin' freezing in here, because they're trying to freeze him out. Nicholas says, and you? Well, as a wannabe hockey player, I still thank you for fixing that Wollman rink. Look He must be looking at Trump. So do I. Yeah, 440. Do you have any strong opinions? Well, as a voter, I feel I should be informed. Yeah. And how about you, 500? Any strong opinions? 500 says, I don't like his persona. Looking at him. He's just very selfish and he's very self-serving. These people are funny. This is not appropriate in a public servant. You know, it's not my cup of tea. Wow, 500 a little spicy over there. So you don't like him, is that right? Yeah, I don't like him. How about you, 744? What's your opinion? Well, some of his policies are good and some are outrageously good. How about you, 789? Well, politically, there are things I'm not in favor of. And Mr. 496, do you have strong opinions about Trump? Well, he was our president. Pretty amazing. Shout out to 496, baby. Says, I started out as an entrepreneur as well, and I've made a lot of things happen like he has. Man, 496 is the man. Shout out. Yeah, it's hard to build things. It's hard to start out as an entrepreneur and actually build something. Next year, I have disagreed with his policies, but I feel I could be impartial. Well, what do you think of him? Well, everyone knows who he is. When he was president, everyone was talking about politics. Now, not so much, after he's president. And how about you, 742? Any opinion? Well, I have some in favor of him, some against. I find myself to be quite centrist. Sometimes the way he carries himself in public leaves something to be desired. My family comes from totalitarian regimes. Well, get used to a new one. It's coming around the corner here. Everyone needs a chance. Wow. And some of these people are pretty good. But could you return a verdict of not guilty? Now, you heard this prosecutor come back out. You heard him ask you if you could find him guilty. Now I'm going to ask you the reverse question. Could you find him not guilty to you? Absolutely, I could. How about you? Yes. And 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 how about you? Yes. And even you? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So the jurors now step out. Mercant says you guys are excused. Lawyers are going to be making some decisions now. They go through here. All right. How about the first one? Number one. Any challenges for cause? He says, yeah, number one, the government says, she said she has heard so much about the case that she could not be fair. And Susan Nicholas, the defense, says, number four, yeah, she stayed at my house 15 years ago. Did she not remember that? How did that not come up? She said that she would talk. Huh? That's weird. Okay. Now, I guess it's New York City, but it's a small town. All right. Yeah. I can't believe she didn't mention that. Trump's lawyer says her husband was written about again and again, our client. Was that in a book? No, it was in a review of what? It was about Maggie Haberman's book, and I haven't seen them in years. So she knows this person, right? Stayed at my house. Her husband wrote a book about Trump, and then they bring the juror back in. Hey, well, how do you know Miss Nicholas? She knows. She's like, oh, we stayed at her home 15 years ago. You didn't bring that up? And your husband? Well, he's general counsel at a company, and he does book reviews. So he must have said something. I think he reviewed Maggie Haberman's book. Trump's lawyer says, I've never seen a juror who knew one of the lawyers on the case not be dismissed. And so that's not grounds for dismissal, says the judge. I don't care if she knows you. Your challenge for cause is denied. Says, okay, well, we also seek to remove seat 11. Okay, well, we're only doing 1 through 7 now, so we're not doing those. So it doesn't look like he strikes anyone. How about any peremptories then, right? So now it's who do you want to just strike because you can? Well, we want to strike seat 4, the lady who stayed at my house, and 680. And he says, okay, so the musical chairs move again. Seat 3 becomes juror 2. Seat 7 becomes 4. Any cause on 8. Susan Nicholas says, oh yeah, we have cause. Look at these vitriolic posts from juror number 8. She said a racist, sexist remark. She wrote, I wouldn't believe Trump if his tongue was notarized, is what she wrote. And the judge says, well, this post is from 2016. And this one from 2021 refers to Trump's mob. Yeah, that's right. But in 2016, Your Honor, she also posted that Trump is a racist and a sexist narcissist. And the juror on Tuesday, the government says, she said Trump should be locked up. Now, this juror has mellowed out a bit. Okay, so let's bring her in. She's calmed down. Those are old angry posts, but she can still be fair. They bring her in. Hey, okay, 430, judge says, do you recognize these social media posts? She reads it. She goes, to stop the racist, sexist. She goes, oh, yikes. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that sounds bad. Yeah. I was a Sanders supporter back then, and she said, I was in a disturbed frame of mind. Well, you have to be to really be a Bernie Sanders supporter or a Democrat in general. At least she's recognizing that. Yeah. However, if she would have been MAGA, then maybe she would be in prison. You see how that works? So some people, post a little bit aggressively on the internet. They go to jail if you're a Republican, but she gets to maybe be on a jury. Okay, how about the second post, says the judge. They show her the second one. She goes, oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, they're very negative posts, I'll say. Yeah, but electoral politics can get pretty spicy, and President Trump can get pretty spicy too. At my core, though, I believe in fair trials. Please put me on here. Trump's lawyer says, well, this trial is about that same time period. So you were posting in 2016. This case is about transactions from 2017. So have you changed your views? Yeah, I've I've changed my views, definitely. I would withdraw the term racist, all right? There are behaviors of Trump toward women I don't agree with. Like what? The locker room tape? But that's not this case. Trump lawyer Nicholas says, but you wrote, though, that he's a liar. You said that on social media. Well, I don't think he would lie in this courtroom. And judge says, okay, thank you. We got enough from you. You can step out now. Thank you. He's like, she's going to be perfect. She's going to be great. Now, the prosecutor says, well, what do you think? The judge says, what do you think? Government says, well, her statements kind of speak for themselves, I think. And the judge says, yeah, it's a close case, but I'm out for cause. So this was a tough one for him. He's like having to decide. Well, I don't know. Some woman who had a bunch of like ranty, disturbed mind frame posts by her own admissions almost made it, man. And this is only the stuff that they're finding, by the way. Okay. So imagine now, after some of this comes out, they're all going to be locking down their socials. Go delete everything. So Mercan says the defense has one peremptory. What would you like to use? She says, okay, seat 10, 742 needs to go. All right. So then 8 here becomes seat 8 on the jury and seat 12 becomes 9. And Steinglass says, the prosecutor, okay, we've used 8 of our peremptories. So we've got 2 more, which means we're going to strike 13 and 15. And he says, okay. So then seat 14 becomes seat 10. And Trump's defense with their peremptory says, we also move to strike, maybe not a peremptory, strike the juror who said she doesn't like President Trump's persona. And they say that's not enough for cause. It's only a persona. Doesn't like his personality, so she can be fair. He says, I deny for cause on that one, so that juror's staying around. Says, Your Honor, there are preconceived notions here. And he says, shut up, Susan. I deny your challenge for cause. So sit down. Seat 16 becomes 11. We'll also fill 12. And so let's move on to the alternates here. So seat 18, here comes alternate number 1. Bring the jurors back in and we'll sit them all today. So boom, that's our first 12. We need 6 more to round it out. We've got the full panel now situated. And of course, 496 gets nuked. See that one? That was our guy. They nuked him. All right, so the jurors are coming back in. Jurors, you will be called for your permanent seat on the jury for the trial. Take your seats. B, seat 2, you're B65. 12, you're 440, and so on. They're all sworn in, blah, blah, blah. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have to select all 6 alternates, but I'm hopeful we will have opening statements on Monday morning, and I ask you all to come back then. So the first 12 are there. Now, of those who are left for tomorrow, when we come back, we're going to have seat 1, B428, seat 2, B441, and so on. And the judge tells them where they'll be tomorrow. Says, Your Honor, jurors, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. And the prospective jurors leave. Government prosecutor stands up, says, Your Honor, were you going to break early on Monday and Tuesday to accommodate counsel's religious observance? Todd Blanche says, Your Honor, Tuesday is a religious holiday all day. It's not a court holiday, though, so get your butt back in here. I don't care. We'll work until 2 p.m. and then we'll call it an early day. And says, prosecutor still whining on, Your Honor, Mr. Trump has been tweeting about the witnesses. Now, we are not going to disclose who they are in advance. And Trump's defense says, Your Honor, what if we commit President Trump won't tweet about them? He says, I don't think you can commit to that. It's Trump. He says, well, how about attorney's eyes only then? Because they want a witness list, right? So Trump's defense must have said, are we going to get a witness list? We have opening arguments on Monday. So who are the witnesses going to be? Government says, we're not giving you our witness list. Why? Well, Trump's been tweeting about them. So we're not going to tell you who they are in advance. We're just going to bring them in one at a time. But what if we say Trump won't tweet about them? You're not going to do that. Well, make it attorney's eyes only then so we can prepare. Justice Mercan says, no, I'm not telling you who's going to be testifying in this case. I am not ordering them to give you the list. See you tomorrow. And so they're not going to tell them, right? It's kind of a courtesy. Hey, who's coming up next is something you disclose to the other side so they can be prepared and so on. But they're not going to do that because the rotten Manhattan DA's office. And so, my friends, day 3, we've got a full 12 seated. We'll be back tomorrow to seat the remaining 6 alternates. The good ones are gone. And so we pour one out for the juror who didn't make it. But we do have, it seems like, maybe a couple jurors on there who are not totally demented New Yorkers. So we'll see about this. As always, we're very grateful to Inner City Press, Matthew Russell Lee, doing the incredible reporting on this. So we are making our way through it, my friends. So thank you for subscribing as we continue on. Thanks for inviting someone you know or love to come on over here. We know the trial is not being televised, so this is the best thing that we've got here, and I think we're getting some good insight. So bring them on over here, and thanks for checking out some of our other links in the description below, including watchingthewatchers.locals.com, our members-only community. We do live streams in the morning. We do shows on Saturday. We'd love to have you come hang out with us. We have a lot of fun. So come check it out, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And one more time, don't forget to go and follow Inner City Press. We'll see you back here on the next one.